You know, America's best days have yet to come, and that's because conservatives like you live the values of our great country. The Heritage Foundation ensures your voice is heard in the Washington swamp every day, shining the light on a bright future. The Heritage Foundation stands for your values, and they won't give up the fight because they know you never will. Paid for by the Heritage Foundation.
He's here. He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811, 877-381-3811. Holy mackerel, whatever that means. Is there an unholy mackerel, Mr. Producer? Is it a religious thing, or what is it exactly? Don't all Google it and then call me and tell me what it is. I actually know. But anyway... Well, it's very interesting what's going on here in terms of the so-called phony shutdown. The so-called phony shutdown is still in place. Now, unless you work for the government, and many people who do work for the government are unaffected, the vast majority of you in this audience are unaffected. Okay? Enjoy your weekend. Go out there and get a well-done steak with ketchup, Mr. Producer. Isn't that how you like it? It's how the president and I like it. It's not because I'm copying him. It's because that's the way I've always eaten it. I've told that funny story. And you know what? I like it. Too bad. I don't like gummy steak. I like gumming away at it, you know. I'll have mine rare. Ugh, gross. But anyway, so Hamas, the president threw down with Hamas. He gave them till Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Did they enter the deal? Or Israel will finish the job. Then about what? Hour and a half, 2 hours before we came on the air here, Hamas responds. I've read the response. I find it a little confounding. They'll release the hostages. It didn't say when. They had 72 hours to do it, and I can go on and on about it. And they want to continue to negotiate, at least details. And they seem to want some role in some of this. Looked like they were playing rope-a-dope. Then the president steps in, and he issues a statement, and it's a very positive statement. And he feels that now progress is going to be made, that Hamas wants a deal. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep my powder dry and look at this. If things are going in the right direction... And how would I know? I'm not involved in the activities. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. That's a good thing. I think, again, we'll know soon enough if this is rope-a-dope or if this is the real thing. And if it's the real thing, good. Good. Honestly, he did send me a few texts before the program. And by the way, he doesn't do that so I don't speak or I don't give I always speak, give my opinion, post my thoughts and so forth and so on. But again, I will say this. If he wasn't the president, if it was some some mealy mouth, some rhino, some Democrat. I wouldn't trust them at all. I just wouldn't. I just wouldn't. So he deserves a little time and space, and so we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. So I have really nothing else to say. I don't know what else is going on. And we shall see. We shall see. I do know the president has asked Israel to stop military activities so the hostages can get out. Now, that may be a very good sign, right, Mr. Producer? It'll also be interesting to see how many hostages are alive, more than interesting. We'll see how this works out. But again, I try not to jump in front of this stuff. We'll see. Everybody knows my view on Qatar. The president knows my view. Surely the vice president, who monitors social media, I think, or his staff does. Everybody does. That's not a regime to be trusted. It's a regime that was involved in 9/11 and October 7th and the Taliban and all the rest of it. Propping up the Muslim Brotherhood, destroying our colleges and universities. Nobody's going to ever convince me to support that regime, let alone send my grandkids to war to fight for that regime. That's never going to happen. Never. And besides, an executive order doesn't substitute a treaty. If you're going to bind the United States in a systematic way, in a premeditated way, to a military alliance, I'm not talking about a memorandum of understanding. I'm not talking about, things that happen on the spot where we can get involved militarily. Those things are understood, and we've done that throughout the history of this country. But in terms of an official military alliance, which could include infantry, that is troops on the ground by the hundreds of thousands and so forth, that requires a treaty. It requires 3/4 of the senators present. The treaty clause is a very, very, very important clause in the Constitution. So I have serious disagreements with this. But again, that said, I don't know exactly what to make out of the Hamas situation, but we shall see. There may be things going on behind the scenes that we just don't know. I hope so. I suspect so. Because I don't think the president would go way out on a limb if he didn't think so. I'm reading the tea leaves, folks. Just like you. And man, do we have two great Life, Liberty, and Levin programs this weekend. Saturday, we've got Newt Gingrich and Ted Cruz, and we're going to talk about this so-called government shutdown. I just taped it. It's a fantastic show. You're going to love this show. And then we have our great Sunday show where we're going to have Senator John Kennedy for the first time on my show. He is hilarious. He's brilliant, this guy. He reminds me of Mark Twain and Will Rogers, that kind of thing. And you'll learn a lot more about him, too. And I think you're going to be spellbound by him because he's going to get half the show. And also Mark Penn, where we're going to discuss just how bad off the Democrat Party is. And I don't see any great middle rising up. I don't see any great moderates. You see Fetterman and a handful of others, but I don't see much in terms of pushback. And one of the things I want to discuss with him is we're not even talking about within the Democrat Party. The Democratic Socialist Party is not in the Democrat Party, yet they control the Democrat Party. This is how they're taking over the Democrat Party. These are outsiders in a Marxist-Islamist party, in a Stalinist Hamas party, that are controlling the Democrat Party. How does that happen? Because you have nothing but quislings and weaklings and pathetic nothings that lead the Democrat Party. And also because the Democrat Party apparently isn't that far away from the Democratic Socialists. Remember the book I wrote, American Marxism? Marxism customized for the Democrats and the left in this country. So there's that. They had a few votes. We're just playing catch-up here on what's going on, and then we're going to jump. Catch-up. I love catch-up. We're playing catch-up here, and then we'll jump in. There were a few test votes they had in the Senate on whether to open the government, because 17% of it is not. And trust me when I tell you the bureaucrats are going to make it, if they can, as painful as possible. But it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. That said, they had a few test votes in the Senate, and of course they couldn't get the Democrats to go along. They were never going to get the Democrats to go along this quickly. I mean, why would they do what they did and then reverse course in 3 days? So this will go on a little while, maybe a week, 2, 3, I don't know. We shall see. They're playing chicken. Playing chicken over very little, quite frankly. All right, we've got a lot to do. A lot of it's interesting. A lot of it's fun. We'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
The youth of today will be the leaders of tomorrow, and it's more critical now than ever that we train up the next generation to fearlessly defend conservative values. The Heritage Foundation's Young Leaders program equips young conservatives with the principled foundation and policy knowledge needed to stand up in a world increasingly hostile to conservatives. The Young Leaders program is more than an internship. Participants work right alongside Heritage professionals, and they learn valuable workplace skills. They attend weekly policy briefings from Heritage's top experts and have access to practical skill-building workshops. They visit historical sites in Washington and even unparalleled mentorship opportunities. If you or anyone in your life is looking to spend a semester in our nation's capital with the best and the brightest of the conservative movement, please go to heritage.org/Levin, heritage.org/Levin. Go there today. Learn more about the Young Leaders Program. Applications for the spring semester close October 5th, so you have to hurry. Our nation's future depends on patriots like you, spreading the word to make sure the next generation is equipped. Go to heritage.org/Levin today. That's heritage.org/Levin. Paid for by the Heritage Foundation. Hat tip to my wifey. SCOTUS blog. Good news, America. In a new order, the Supreme Court just cleared the way for the Trump administration to end protected status for thousands of Venezuelan citizens, these gang members among others, living in the U.S. Justices, the three blind mice, Sotomayor, Kagan, and Jackson would not have granted the administration's request. Thank God we control at least this court in some instances. So all these Venezuelan people who are here illegally cannot be deported. The Supreme Court just green-lighted it. What are we going to do? Who's going to pick the lettuce, Mr.? I don't eat lettuce. Well, unless my wife's with me, then I have to. But I'm not a lettuce guy. Lettuce is for rabbits. By the way. So it's late at night. I'm driving home. I'm pulling into the driveway. And you know what I see, Mr. Producer? With my lights on, of course. A rabbit. And I want to make sure I don't run over it. Are there more sort of cuddly creatures than rabbits? Seriously. And I'm thinking to myself, the state I'm in, not mentally, the physical state, geographically that I'm in, there's so many predators. There's bobcats. There's coyotes. There's panthers, believe it or not. Those big damn snakes. Anacondas, but not near where I am. These poor rabbits don't have a chance. No wonder they breed like rabbits. Do you know rabbits breed like rabbits, Mr. Producer? But now we know why. And it's sad. It's sad. When you think of rabbits, you think of the little puffy rabbits during Easter. You understand. The little rabbits and the little chicks. And I'm thinking, what's going to happen to this poor rabbit? And then I pulled in the garage. I went upstairs and put on the TV. But nonetheless, seriously, it's kind of sad. I hate these predators. I hate them. I hate human predators. I hate animal predators. Well, they have to eat too. I don't care. I don't care. I didn't make the food chain. I'm just saying it seems so unfair to me. I'll tell you something else. This scares the hell out of me. Don't worry. I'll get to the hard news. This scares the hell out of me. It really worries me. It's horrible. I can't get it out of my mind. Should I share it, Mr. Producer? If you have a small dog, whatever breed, 8 pounds, 10 pounds, 12 pounds, 14, 15, even 17, 18 pounds, have you ever thought about a big hawk or eagle or owl swooping down, and they fly fast and their eyesight's unbelievable, and grabbing your dog or your cat? Have you ever thought about that, Rich? Now, one of these places I live, I'm not allowed to say now for security reasons. You believe this? I can't tell you what state I'm in. I'm told not to do it. So I'm not doing it. Now, one of these places, there's hawks that seem to have 6 or 8 foot wingspans. And there's actually eagles. Well, I'm kind of giving it away. Bald eagles. And they're fast. And then there's the owls. They're there at night. Dusk and dawn, too. And so when I have, like, a family member say, just let them out the back. You know, it's a little fenced-in area. And my wife is great at walking them. Takes them on long walks. They really love her very, very much. Me too, but really her. So, you know, like before you go to bed, you kind of let them out, and then you bring them in so they don't wake you up at 3 in the morning. And these birds are all over the damn place. I mean, they're not flocking and flying at us. It's not the movie The Birds. It's not Alfred Hitchcock. I'm just saying they're there. And they don't necessarily make themselves known. So I'm scared to death. So when I do that and I take them out back, you know what I bring with me? A baseball bat. And I keep running it through my mind, if a bird, how quick you have to be to whack that damn bird. But that's always in my mind. It's one thing if you're walking them on a leash and so forth, but it's quite another. So I say to family members, don't be so cavalier about this. Don't just let them out the back. Well, we'll let them out the back. No. I mean, you got to be right there. And these birds are so brazen, even while you're standing there, they do this stuff. They do. And I have a dear friend who once had a chihuahua years ago. And they were out back. She was with the chihuahua. And she turned around and the chihuahua was gone. That's how fast this happens, Rich. She said she knew a bird got it. I go, oh my God, please don't tell me these stories. So I figure, you know, truth is we all like to share misery because we don't want to be miserable alone. So I just shared it. I'm sorry if that leaves a bad impact on you. And please don't call me if this happened to you. That's just very upsetting, and I'm very, very sorry. I truly am. But I'm doing this as a public service announcement, so you're careful. Seriously. So you're careful. Because these things do happen, and they can happen. Why am I talking about this? Well, why not? Now, when we come back, what we're going to talk about is a few other things. You're going to hear the president speak about this so-called shutdown. Carolyn Levitt, who is absolutely fantastic. This kid's unbelievable. Also, turns out a man running for Attorney General of Virginia, his name is Jay Jones, sent out some texts talking about shooting his opponent, the Republican. And the lieutenant governor, who's running as a Democrat in Virginia, is an Islamist. We're having a blast. The Heritage Foundation built the Young Leaders Program because they're committed to investing in the next generation of America's leaders. Now, this mission is even more important now, as we need a new generation of young leaders fearlessly defending the truth. Every semester, Heritage trains and mentors more than 50 interns who are committed to the principles of individual freedom, free enterprise, limited government, traditional American values, and a strong national defense. Through policy briefings, professional development workshops, lectures from the top conservative thinkers on first principles of conservatism, and more. Heritage equips young conservatives with the timeless truths, practical knowledge, and relevant skills needed to protect and advance conservative principles and policies. If you know young conservatives hungry for a challenge, please go to heritage.org/Levin, heritage.org/Levin. Find more information about the program and its impact on young conservatives. Applications for the spring semester close October 5, so you gotta hurry. Don't wait. Our nation's future depends on conservatives like you taking action to spread the word. Again, that's heritage.org/Levin, heritage.org/Levin. Go there today. Let's do our part in training up the next generation of America's leaders. That's heritage.org/Levin, paid for by the Heritage Foundation.
Mark Levin, the great one.
The great one, Mark Levin.
Dial in now, 877-381-3811.
Yellow. Am I in a good mood, Mr. Producer? Let me tell you why. After 34 days, my brother's back from the hospital. He's home. That matters. So why shouldn't I be in a good mood? President Trump on OAN, on shutdowns and firings. Cut one, go.
There was an OMB memo going around suggesting that there might be firings during the shutdown. Do you think that will happen if the shutdown goes for a little bit of time, sir?
Well, there could be firings, and that's their fault. And it could also be other things. I mean, we could cut projects that they wanted, favorite projects, and they'd be permanently cut. So you could say, a lot of people are saying Trump wanted this, that I wanted this closing, and I didn't want it. But a lot of people are saying it because I'm allowed to cut things that should have never been approved in the first place. And I will probably do that.
Mm-hmm. I say now's a propitious opportunity. Propitious. Wouldn't you say propitious, Mr. Producer? Okay. And a big government, the bureaucracy, the Democrats immediately. Why are layoffs needed now? Rather than a question like, what departments will the layoffs be and how many? That would be a fair question, right? Go ahead.
We have a president who are wholeheartedly focused on restoring fiscal sanity.
Okay, we're cutting in and out, Mr. Producer. Nobody can hear that.
American taxpayer. We are $37 trillion in debt.
Can you hear me?
There's no more money coming into the federal government's coffers. And as you've also seen since the beginning, in January, this administration is focusing on waste, fraud, and abuse. And so Democrats have given this administration...
Stop. We'll do this on air. Can the audience hear me? Okay, it's very weird because I lost contact. So let's start at the top with the audio, with our North Korean equipment. Cut two, go.
Why are layoffs now necessary in this shutdown?
Because we have an administration and we have a president who are wholeheartedly focused on restoring fiscal sanity to our government and doing the right thing by the American taxpayer. We are $37 trillion in debt, and the federal government is currently shut down. There is no more money coming into the federal government's coffers. And as you've also seen since the beginning, in January, this administration...
I have to correct that. There's a lot of money. The money keeps coming into the federal government's coffers. I think what she means there is to cover the deficit part, and 100% correct about that. Yes, go ahead.
Focusing on waste, fraud, and abuse. And so Democrats have given this administration an unenviable choice to have to take a look at the balance sheet and identify where these cuts and layoffs can be made.
Mm-hmm. More. Cut three, go.
At the top of the briefing, you made a statement about that the Democrats are interested in giving health care to illegal immigrants.
Yes, they are.
U.S. law already prohibits that. It's a 1996 law saying that they cannot give unauthorized immigrants any federally subsidized health care coverage through Medicaid, the Affordable Care Act.
All right, and let me show you how stupid this question is. Who passed that law, Mr. Producer? Congress. So if Congress passes a budget addition to fund illegal immigrants, then Congress has trumped a prior law, correct? Doesn't even make sense what she just said. A budget is a legislative act. And so the reason the Democrats are trying to force this is to impose the health care spending on we, the American people, through the continuing resolution. They're not prohibited from doing that. They're free to do it. We're trying to stop them from doing it. So the law doesn't prevent, the law that Congress passes can be changed by Congress. So how stupid is this report? Who is this reporter? We don't even know. They all should be required to announce themselves. I am Fran Berkowitz with Associated Press. Oh, Fran, you're a dummy. Yes, Martha Powder here from TNT. Oh! Mohammed Yitzhak from Al Jazeera. Oh, yes. Yes, they should be required to announce themselves. Go ahead.
Insurance program. There seems to be a disconnect in the messaging.
Are you denying that Medicaid money has never gone to illegal aliens in the United States of America?
I'm not denying anything. I'm asking you if you can explain the disconnect in the messaging.
Let me help you, madam. She's a madam. Did you know that, Mr. Producer? Let me help you, madam. Biden turned the spigot on to provide free health care to illegal aliens. So if that's breaking the law, quote unquote, then Biden broke the law. But notice she is focused on the Trump administration for trying to keep turned off the spigot, which she said is the law anyway. So, she's an idiot, in my humble opinion. More than humble. In my accurate opinion, she's an idiot. And this is what Caroline Levitt has to deal with every single damn day. And she points this out. Cut 4, go.
And it is an undisputed fact, a fact that under the Biden administration, illegal aliens were absolutely receiving taxpayer-funded health care benefits. In fact, in fiscal year 2024, Medicaid costs for emergency services for illegal immigrants skyrocketed by 142% from the previous year to $9.1 billion. That's $9.1 billion taxpayer dollars that were going to emergency services for illegals. Between President Trump's last full fiscal year under his first administration and Joe Biden's last full fiscal year, Medicaid spending on emergency services for illegal immigrants nearly tripled. There was an increase of 196% between 2020 and 2024.
She told her a thing or two right there. She told her a thing or two. Now, Hakeem Jeffries, this guy seems like a very tepid speaker in waiting, he hopes. He's constantly looking over his shoulder for the communists and the Islamists to stab him in the back. Now, it's not that this guy is some kind of moderate. He's a radical kook too. But then there's radical kookity kooks, and they're way out there. Way out there. In fact, some of them are such kookity kooks that even communist regimes wouldn't accept them. That even Hamas says, wait a minute, they're sick. We don't want them. That's right. Like Mandami. Cut 5, go.
But we know throughout the Trump administration, when Republicans are talking about the notion that Democrats somehow are interested in providing health insurance to undocumented immigrants.
But you did provide health insurance to illegal. Stop with the undocumented crap. You did provide health insurance to illegal aliens. Foreigners in this country illegally. Oh, they're undocumented. I know our prisons are filled with undocumented criminals, I guess. But you get the point, America. They did it purposely. They voted against the big, beautiful bill, and they said, oh, they're cutting Medicaid. Yes, they were cutting Medicaid so illegal aliens couldn't get Medicaid, and able-bodied young people who are sitting on their sofa had to work 20 hours a week to get Medicaid, a freebie. And so they fought it. And now they say, what do you mean you couldn't do that as a matter of law? Oh, what do you mean? We never said illegal aliens should receive. So the speaker, he's done a fantastic job, Mike Johnson. He says, okay, take a look at page 57 of what they're doing, of their proposal, right there. They want to eliminate that part of the big, beautiful bill that specifically prevents illegal aliens and able-bodied people, United States citizens, from getting Medicaid. They want to put that benefit back in there. It's page 57, and they highlight it. That's right. Even Helen Keller could find it. But somehow the Democrats and the left, they can't find it. Ooh, where is it? It's a lie. I also heard our friend Jessica Tarloff on the 5. Yes, our friend. She was citing poll after poll after poll where the Republicans are going to pay a price for this. Oh. They're going to pay a price for this. Really? The Republicans don't pay a price for this most of the time. You want to know why, America? Because what's going to happen 2, 3, 4 weeks from now if the government is opened up? Nobody's going to remember it. Nobody's going to care about it because it wouldn't have mattered. This is a Washington shtick. This is a thing. People aren't going to vote. A year and a half from now, I remember when they shut down the government 18 months ago. That's right. Nobody's going to remember that. It's like the State of the Union address. Everybody gets, 3 weeks of pre-State of the Union hawking and promoting. And then the hell did they say in the last State of the Union address? What did they say 3 years ago? Oh, this is when the nation comes together. Everybody's watching. They're poised. Every word matters. That's right. Every syllable. It's very carefully crafted. It's very important. It's historic speech. What did he say? I don't remember. How did it affect your life? Didn't affect my life. The media pushed this stuff. Like the shutdown. How did it affect you? Ask 90% of the American people. How did what affect me? The shutdown. What shutdown? The government. Ooh, I can't go to a national park or the Smithsonian this weekend. Well, the vast majority of Americans aren't anyway. How do we make it hurt? We got to affect air travel. Yeah, we got to do something. And then they send out the cameras to the media. They're like at a monument in Washington, D.C. that nobody ever goes to. So the 3 people who are going to go there, they show up. Oh, it's shut. I can't get in. What has this done to your vacation? What has it done to little 7-year-old Sally? What's the imposition that was placed on you? It must have been horrendous. It must have been such a waste of money to travel from Baltimore to Washington. You were going to see this, and now it's closed. What do you say? The media. Sickening. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
The youth of today will be the leaders of tomorrow, and it's more critical now than ever that we train up the next generation to fearlessly defend conservative values. The Heritage Foundation's Young Leaders Program equips young conservatives with the principled foundation and policy knowledge needed to stand up in a world increasingly hostile to conservatives. The Young Leaders Program is more than an internship. Participants work right alongside Heritage professionals, and they learn valuable workplace skills. They attend weekly policy briefings from Heritage's top experts and have access to practical skill-building workshops. They visit historical sites in Washington and even unparalleled mentorship opportunities. If you or anyone in your life is looking to spend a semester in our nation's capital with the best and the brightest of the conservative movement, please go to heritage.org/Levin, heritage.org/Levin. Go there today. Learn more about the Young Leaders Program. Applications for the spring semester close October 5th, so you have to hurry. Our nation's future depends on patriots like you, spreading the word to make sure the next generation is equipped. Go to heritage.org/Levin today. That's heritage.org/Levin. Paid for by the Heritage Foundation. Folks, here's what I'd like you to do, seriously. At the top of the hour break, if you're home, set your DVR for 8 p.m. Eastern Time Saturday and 8 p.m. Eastern Time Sunday to the Fox News Channel. That's my slot, Life, Liberty, and Levin. And I don't talk about that DVR enough, I'm told, and I think that's right. And that way you'll record the show, and if you're out watching football, staring at the ceiling, doing whatever you do, it'll be there to watch later. I know we do that just in case. It's the truth. We try to watch it live, but if we can't, we have a DVR, and it's actually kind of fun. So I want to encourage you to do that. The Levinites out there, go ahead and set it, and then you don't have to think about it again. And these shows this weekend are really fantastic, and so are the guests. I mean, I only have 4 guests. Many of the other shows on other channels, too, they have 4 guests in about 4 minutes, don't they, Mr. Producer? So I do the long-form interview because I believe in it. I believe in it, and I believe I have top-notch guests, top-notch authors, top-notch subjects. And the reason is, if you're going to spend time watching it, I want to make sure that time is worthwhile. When I do my opening statement, I'm going to make sure there's enough substance there, interesting things, history, economics, whatever it is. So you watch the show and you say, you know what, I didn't know that stuff, I'm glad I watched. Same when I do the radio show. I don't just want to be, part of the chorus line. Part of the Rockettes, if you will. Not that I could be, but that would be kind of weird, but you know what I mean. So there's some real weirdos running for statewide office in Virginia. Virginia's for lovers and apparently for nutjobs who are Democrats running for office. National Review, Audrey Fahlberg, the Democrat Attorney General nominee in Virginia, Jay Jones, fantasized about shooting former Republican Speaker of the House. This guy wants to be Attorney General. He could get elected, too. It's sick out there. The Democrats nominate the sickest of the sick. On August 8, 2022, a Republican state legislator received a disturbing string of early morning text messages from a former colleague, Jay Jones, who now wants to be the Attorney General of Virginia. He's running as the Democrat. Jones, who at the time had recently resigned from the State House after a brief stint representing Norfolk, had strong feelings about how the political class was eulogizing recently deceased former state legislator Joe Johnson Jr., a moderate Democrat with a long tenure in Virginia politics. Republican legislators led by House Speaker Todd Gilbert had begun making public statements honoring Johnson's memory. They're honoring a Democrat and his legacy, and some of those statements were making the rounds in state legislative group chats. Around 8 a.m., Jones shared those feelings with his former state legislative colleague, Republican House Delegate Carrie Connor. In a series of texts obtained by National Review, he derided Jones's political criticism. "Damn, that was for Mark," he wrote to Conyers, suggesting he'd meant to send the text to someone else. And yet that realization didn't stop him from joking about that POS Gilbert would say anything about me if I died. And then he talks about the bullets. I'll get to that when we return. This segment of the podcast is exclusively sponsored by Pure Talk. Pure Talk offers great coverage and can save your family money on your wireless bill every single month. Go to puretalk.com to find the plan that's right for you. Thank you again for listening, and thank you so much for this sponsorship, Pure Talk.
He's here. He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Well, as I was saying when I rudely interrupted myself, so this guy's running for Attorney General of Virginia. And it wasn't that long ago, a couple of years ago, he puts out these texts. He texts the wrong person, but he doesn't care because he's brazen. And in these texts, he suggests that when he dies, negative things will be said about him. It's very, very sick, very weird. Which means he's the perfect Democrat candidate. He says, if those guys die before me, talking about his Republican colleagues, I'll go to their funerals, ready for this? To piss on their graves, quote unquote. To send them out awash in something, quote unquote. This is a sick guy. Wants to be attorney general. And you watch the Democrats, I could see them now, Mr. Producer. The spittle coming down their mouths as they head for the ballot, to vote. They get their ballots, the spittle's dripping on their ballots. If they have paper ballots or those computer documents. Their eyes are popping out of the head. The veins are popping out of their forehead. They show their sharp teeth. Their tongues are out of their mouth. Democrat, 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 Democrat. Jones then suggested that presented with a hypothetical situation in which he had 2 bullets, and was faced with the choice of murdering then Speaker of the House Todd Gilbert, a Republican, or 2 dictators, he'd shoot Gilbert, quote, every time, prompting pushback from his former colleague. Jones, 3 people, 2 bullets. Gilbert, Hitler, and Pol Pot. Gilbert gets 2 bullets to the head. Spoiler. This is this guy's text. Put Gilbert in the crew with the 2 worst people you know, and he receives both bullets every time. A former friend of his, legislator, Coiner, Jay, please stop. Jones, LOL, okay. Coiner, it really bothers me when you talk about hurting people or wishing death on them. It isn't okay, no matter who they are. Could this literally be the future attorney? Can you imagine the Attorney General of Virginia? This is the guy. And then Mondami is the mayor of New York City. And then the other Islamist radical is the mayor of Minneapolis. Can you imagine all this going on? And we have our no-go zones. Like Dearbornistan is a no-go zone. It's a no-go zone. The birthplace of Ford Motor Company. Now, the private messages offer a disturbing glimpse into how Jones, who is looking to oust incumbent Republican Attorney General Jason Miyares, describes his political adversaries in private conversations. The violent rhetoric complicates an already contentious and competitive race roughly a month out from Election Day in Virginia, where early voting began on September 19th. Asked about the years-old text exchanges, this guy Conyer condemned Jones's rhetoric and said she sent screenshots of the conversation to Gilbert that day. She said she and Jones haven't spoken since, aside from a brief conversation about policy issues, like gun control. I just brought that up. On August 8, 2022, I had a text conversation with Jay Jones. What he said was not just disturbing, but disqualifying for anyone who wants to seek public office, she told National Review. Jay Jones wished violence on the children of a colleague and joked about shooting Todd Gilbert. It's disgusting and unbecoming of any public official. Jones and his campaign spokesidiot did not respond to repeated requests for comments. Gilbert also did not respond. The Miyares campaign declined to comment. Why? You know the old line, if a candidate's destroying themselves, why interfere? But this needs to be addressed. And following publication, another outlet published a reaction from the Jones campaign. Like all people, I've sent text messages that I regret. Mr. Perdue, you ever send a text message talking about killing somebody? And that this guy is worse than Pol Pot and Stalin and Mao? Now, I'd say this guy is a head case. He's a psycho. He's a psycho. And you watch, he might actually get elected Attorney General of Virginia. The lieutenant governor candidate, she's a psycho. She's an Islamist. No, not a Muslim per se, an Islamist. And then there's the one running for governor, Stanberger Boggerberger. You know, she worked in national security, so she must be good. She's a lunatic. A lunatic. The Three Stooges of the Democrat Party, but you never know. According to the source, the Democratic former legislator doubled down on the call, saying the only way public policy changes is when policymakers feel pain themselves, like the pain that parents feel when they watch their children die from gun violence. What do you think about that? What do you think about that, Virginia? Is this your idea of a good attorney general? Excuse me, cholera. Now, they asked this Stanberger Bonger what she thought about this, and she tried to distance herself, of course. Oh, that's just appalling. That's appalling. What else is she going to say? She still support him for attorney general? I asked the Democrat Party of Virginia, you still support this lunatic for attorney general? That he threatened to murder somebody? He really did. That's what he said. 2 bullets to the head. That he's worse than Pol Pot, who murdered 25% of the population of Cambodia. Worse than Mao, who murdered 60 million people. Worse than, I think he said, Stalin, who murdered 40 million people. Hey, you have to break a few eggs, to get our Marxist revolution in place. That's the way it works. You haven't seen much national attention on this, have you, America? Have you, Mr. and Mrs. America? No. No. Because he's not a Republican. Look, it's that simple. Been a Republican? Well, of course they would have shown it. And never stopped. It never stopped. These are the candidates that the Democrats put forward. This Kamala Harris has that book, 107 Days. What was that, a prison sentence, Mr. Producer? 107 days? It's a prison sentence for the rest of us having to watch her and listen to her. Absolute crazy. Now, they had this candidate running for office in Virginia. I don't know where they're coming from, a Democrat, a woman. And she and her husband put online their, how shall I say, sexual activity. And you should have seen the people coming to her defense on the left. Wow, just because you're a prude. What? She's been arrested for domestic violence, Mr. Producer. The would-be state representative has been arrested for domestic violence. Marxists, Islamists, these thugs, these fools. Oh, look, the Republicans aren't perfect, but they're better than the Democrats. That's definite fact. Yes. Now, we'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Our society works because of the freedoms guaranteed by the First Amendment. Everyday Americans should be able to speak openly and honestly about family and traditional values without retribution from the government. And that's a principle Pure Talk proudly supports. They sponsor my show, which allows me to stand strong behind the microphone every day and share the truth with you. If you want to support brands that defend freedom and pro-American values, I strongly encourage you to switch your wireless service to Pure Talk. You're going to get great 5G coverage on an extremely reliable and secure network, and with plans from just $25 a month, you'll save a ton of money. And Pure Talk also believes in creating American jobs and supporting America's small businesses. So if you're a small business owner, you can save even more while enjoying white glove service. Stand with the companies who share your values. Go to puretalk.com/Levin. That's puretalk.com/Levin to switch to my favorite wireless company right now, Pure Talk. And you'll save an additional 50% off your first month. Again, puretalk.com/Levin. Make the switch, folks. Make it today. I don't know Scott Galloway. Maybe I'm the only person who doesn't. Seems like an interesting person in many respects. Again, I'm not 100% sure about his full background. I took a look. And again, he seems very interesting to me. And since October 7th, he's become, as he puts it, more of a Zionist. I believe he was half Jewish. Secularist, might even be an atheist, I believe. Didn't really pay attention to all this stuff until October 7th, and he sees the rising anti-Semitism and hate from the likes of Carlson and Owens and that cabal. and the apologists for them. By the way, did you see the latest from Qatar? You see that, Mr. Producer? That apparently, and I don't know that this took place, there was a meeting apparently with IDF and or Mossad and or both and others from Israel plotting and planning this, I think, the attack on Iran. And apparently the IDF soldiers who were at the Pentagon, or the IDF brass, they took over the place. Did you know that, Mr. Producer? They took it over. Took it over? Oh, yeah, they took it over. It's a kook. He is absolutely unhinged. A psycho. I think people now watch him and listen to him for the same reason they stop and watch car accidents after the fact, like the prurient interest, if you will. The same reason the sickos might watch porno. It takes a certain kind of mind, you know? Anyway, let's take a listen. Scott Galloway on the Morning Schmo, cut 12, go.
2,200 American servicemen killed at Pearl Harbor. We go on to kill 3.5 million Japanese, including 100,000 in one night. 2,800 Americans in 9/11. We go on to kill 400,000 people in Afghanistan and Iraq. We weren't accused of genocide. You had, if Mexico had elected a jihadist cartel to run their country, and then they incurred into Texas, and on a per capita basis killed 35,000 people, or the population of the University of Texas, and on the way back took the freshman class at SMU hostage and hid them under tunnels, what would we do? It'd be the great Sonora radioactive parking lot. But Jews are not allowed, and Israel is not allowed to prosecute a war. And they are prosecuting a war more humanely than we have done. The ratio of combatants to civilians is, of civilian death to combatant mortality is lower than it was in Mosul, lower than it was in Japan, lower than it was in Germany. So there's just a different standard for Jews in Israel when it comes to prosecuting a war. They're allowed to fight back to a truce, but unlike America or any other Western nation that has attacked this viciously, they're not allowed to win a war. It's a double standard.
Mm-hmm. They're not allowed to win a war. That's true. Hear people say it's going on forever. It's going on for 2 years. And so they build lies about genocide, mass starvation. They use phony photos. They take Hamas casualty numbers. They're still doing it over at Axios and other places. I mean, the war is being led by the media, not just Al Jazeera, not just Pravda, but even worse, the New York Times, CNN, MSNBC, the BBC, the Guardian, the so-called Independent, Reuters, AP. They're leading the war for the terrorists. The Democrat Party has embraced the terrorists. They've embraced candidates who support the terrorists. It's true. We don't embrace the Qatarson kooks. They have their viewers and so forth and so on. But it's not tens of millions of people and so forth. But Scott Galloway is right. We are, and correctly, blowing Venezuelan boats out of the water that are trying to bring drugs into the United States. We've made the point under the Monroe Doctrine and elsewhere that we have the right to defend ourselves. We have the right to do this. And in fact, Venezuela is harboring terrorist groups and state sponsors of terrorism, Iran, Hezbollah, Hamas, and others. And we've taken the position, our State Department's taken the position, our Treasury Department's taken the position that we can act against this militarily. Diplomatically, of course, but militarily. And we are. We've got a flotilla off of Venezuela. We've got an aircraft carrier with several jets, even F-35s. We're hitting those boats. Nobody says you're violating Venezuela's sovereignty, do they, Mr. Producer? Except Rand Paul, he thinks these guys should get due process. That's what a kook he is. But you get the point. Not another country on the face of the earth that's treated this way. Now we have this deal with Hamas. Sometimes I get the impression that we have seized control over the Israeli military and they take orders from us, not from their command. That's problematic, isn't it? They're told when they can fight, when they can't fight. That's strange. Very strange. And now, of course, we have an executive order. An executive order is not a treaty. It doesn't have the power of anything in this case. But that your children and grandchildren will fight to the death for Qatar if that's what's decided to protect Qatar. Qatar that was involved in 9/11, October 7th, supported the Taliban, the Muslim Brotherhood, Hamas funded it. That Qatar. Maybe even the Marines will fight side by side with Hamas. You never know. Strange things going on. But we hope to have peace soon. Hamas has issued a statement that I find confounding, but we'll let it play out, of course. The president feels it's making progress, so we shall see. A video statement? The president has an audio statement. Mr. Producer told me he just came out with it, so let's take a listen. Go ahead.
I want to thank the countries that helped me put this together. Qatar, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Jordan, and so many others. So many people fought so hard.
Israel. It wouldn't matter if Israel didn't agree to it. Here's the thing. Not one of those countries, not one of them, has soldiers on the line, has had soldiers die, has had citizens die as a result of any of this. We want to thank all the Arab countries and the Muslim countries and all the other dictators out there. We want to thank you all. All right, go ahead.
We'll see how it all turns out. We have to get the final word down in concrete. Very importantly, I look forward to having the hostages come home to their parents and having some of the hostages, unfortunately, you know the condition they're in, come home likewise to their parents because their parents wanted them just as much as though that young man or young woman were alive. So I just want to let you know that this is a very special day, maybe unprecedented in many ways. It is unprecedented. But thank you all, and thank you all to those great countries that helped. We were given a tremendous amount of help. Everybody was unified in wanting this war to end and seeing peace in the Middle East. And we're very close to achieving that. Thank you all, and everybody will be treated fairly.
So this is, when the president says we're very close to it, this is a president that doesn't mince his words. So I'm very hopeful that's right. So that's why let's see how this plays out. Plenty of time to comment on it. Let's see how it plays out. Right man at the right time. And but Hamas, again, they like to do rope-a-dope. So we'll see. I'll be right back. Our society works because of the freedoms guaranteed by the First Amendment. Everyday Americans should be able to speak openly and honestly about family and traditional values without retribution from the government. And that's a principle Pure Talk proudly supports. They sponsor my show, which allows me to stand strong behind the microphone every day and share the truth with you. If you want to support brands that defend freedom and pro-American values, I strongly encourage you to switch your wireless service to Pure Talk. You're going to get great 5G coverage on an extremely reliable and secure network, and with plans from just $25 a month, you'll save a ton of money. And Pure Talk also believes in creating American jobs and supporting America's small businesses. So if you're a small business owner, you can save even more while enjoying white glove service. Stand with the companies who share your values. Go to puretalk.com/Levin. That's puretalk.com/Levin to switch to my favorite wireless company right now, Pure Talk, and you'll save an additional 50% off your first month. Again, puretalk.com/Levin. Make the switch, folks. Make it today.
The Mark Levin Show, live and national at 877-381-3811.
Let's be crystal clear. None of this would be happening but for Israel. Period. Israel had to take its foot off the gas pedal. Israel has the enemy surrounded. When we had the Nazis surrounded, it would never have entered our minds to stop. Period. Israel has nothing to apologize for. The idea that Turkey, that's led by a brutal murdering dictator, Qatar, that's led by a maniac that pushes out billions and billions of dollars to terrorist organizations and terrorist states, the idea that these Arab dictators and potentates and military dictators are responsible for any peace that may come out of this, it's Israel. And Israel wasn't even mentioned. Israel. More particularly, it's Netanyahu. Netanyahu. That's the truth. So, there needs to be the proper amount of celebration, such as it is, but at least respect in the right corners. I don't understand this. 9/11, Qatar protected KSM. The FBI was on his trail. Qatar gave him a job, gave him an apartment, then tipped him off, helped him leave the country before the FBI could nab him. And less than 2 years later, he's the mastermind behind 9/11. We don't get an apology from Qatar. We don't get anything. Explain that to me. Saudi Arabia? Those terrorists came out of Saudi Arabia. The Wahhabists. Bin Laden was a Saudi. We don't get an apology from them either. I feel like we're suckers here. Now we're praising them. Praising all these Arab countries. Turkey, Erdogan. He's a genocidal maniac. He seeks to destroy Israel. Qatar sought to destroy Israel through Hamas. You've got countries that literally tried to destroy Israel, and we thank them, while Israel has its enemies surrounded. Those aren't American troops. Those aren't Arab troops, Muslim troops. Those are Israeli troops that are trying to take out Hamas. And then we slobber all over ourselves. Oh, isn't it great that Hamas responded? Now, we don't know exactly what they're responding to. I guess we're going to find out later. And for that, we're giddy. But not Israel. No, they have bad PR, you see. They have bad PR. They have bad PR. They have a worldwide media that hates the Jews and hates Israel. How do you fix that? How do you respond to that? Bad PR. So they shouldn't win? They shouldn't defend themselves? They'll get better PR then? Yeah. I want to thank all these Arab countries and all these Muslim countries. Not a word for Israel. They're the ones who are fighting and dying. They're the ones who, because of their military prowess and capabilities, have brought Hamas to this point, I think, in my humble opinion. I'm going to keep an eye on this. We'll see what comes of this deal. We'll see what Hamas does. Kind of frightening that everything's riding on Hamas. But I just don't get, just as a general matter, why Israel's the pariah. And all these wonderful Arab countries, all these wonderful Muslim countries are to be thanked. You realize they haven't even lifted a finger yet? What have they done, Mr. Producer? Nothing. They haven't done anything. Except fund terrorism in certain cases, not all cases. They haven't done anything so far. Zero. 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 Those are young men and women of Israel's tiny population of 9 million who went to war because they were attacked by Hamas, which is an off branch of the Muslim Brotherhood, which is based in Egypt. Hamas, which was funded by Qatar, the Muslim Brotherhood funded by Qatar. We're thanking them, you see, thanking all of them. But Israel is the problem, you see. They just won't go along. They just won't go along. And now that they're going along, apparently they're still a problem. We'll see what happens here. Hamas wants to negotiate. I thought this was a take it or leave it. Didn't you, Mr. Producer? I thought it was, but we'll find out. Again, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens as this plays out. Even the president in his statement said, we'll see how this plays out. I believe he said so. That's right. We'll see how it plays out. And I will never support in any respect any arrangement with Qatar that requires us, compels us, triggers us to go to war on their behalf. We don't have any such arrangement with any other country. We have what's called the Washington Treaty that created NATO, a treaty that had to get over get 3/4 of the votes of the senators present. This isn't a treaty; it's an executive order for Qatar. No other country on the face of the earth, none, have we agreed to go to war on their behalf if they're attacked. We've agreed under Article 5 of NATO that if one of those countries is attacked, then we will treat it as we're attacked. That's the NATO agreement with dozens of countries of like mind. Qatar's arrangement is even bigger than NATO. It's one country. It's not something I'm going to swallow. I'm just not. I don't buy it. I don't buy it, and I'm never going to buy it. You had any role whatsoever, directly or indirectly, in 9/11, we don't make military arrangements with a country like that. We just don't, in my view. And they don't even apologize to us. They don't even acknowledge what they did. They deny it. They had one of their clowns on cable TV who basically denied it. You know, the Israelis, that's their propaganda. Yeah, we know. We know, little inbred, we know. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Our society works because of the freedoms guaranteed by the First Amendment. Everyday Americans should be able to speak openly and honestly about family and traditional values without retribution from the government. And that's a principle Pure Talk proudly supports. They sponsor my show, which allows me to stand strong behind the microphone every day and share the truth with you. If you want to support brands that defend freedom and pro-American values, I strongly encourage you to switch your wireless service to Pure Talk. You're going to get great 5G coverage on an extremely reliable and secure network, and with plans from just $25 a month, you'll save a ton of money. And Pure Talk also believes in creating American jobs and supporting America's small businesses. So if you're a small business owner, you can save even more while enjoying white glove service. Stand with the companies who share your values. Go to puretalk.com/Levin. That's puretalk.com/Levin to switch to my favorite wireless company right now, Pure Talk, and you'll save an additional 50% off your first month. Again, puretalk.com/Levin. Make the switch, folks. Make it today. We have the great Dinesh D'Souza on next. He has a fantastic movie coming out. This guy's unbelievable. He's unmatched. Somebody told me, Mr. Producer, that Tucker Carlson implied that I'm being paid by a foreign government, Israel. Is that what he did? To be an influencer. This guy's so sick. He's such a buffoon. He's such a psychopath. I'm going to have my lawyers take a good look at that one. These are tough cases, you understand, because they're public figures, and the assertion has to be more than peripheral. Nobody pays me other than Westwood One here, other than Fox on Fox, other than Blaze on Blaze. I have never in my life taken 1 penny from Israel or any foreign government. In fact, I don't take money from our own government. Now, who does Qatar take money from? Who does he take money from? I'm curious. What are their names? What are their backgrounds? What are their associations? What are their allegiances? He's so worried about these things, pointing the finger. So just tell us. Reveal it. I've just said emphatically, zero. Zero. What a disgrace it would be. No foreign government's ever paid for a trip for me, a meal for me, or anything else for me. Zero. I mean, I'm so careful, just so you know. It's a very, very rare occasion that I even allow anybody to pay for dinner for me. Friend, acquaintance, in or out of government, doesn't matter. I overpay my taxes because I know they're just itching to take a bite out of me. I am the cleanest, straightest, squarest host you've ever met. This is the truth. Can Tarleton say that? Has anybody ever paid for him? Anybody paying for him now? Who've been his benefactors? People ask me all the time, how did this guy become the loathsome, Jew-hating, American-hating buffoon that he is? He used to be fairly intelligent. Well, it's only a couple of possibilities, right? I don't actually know. Could it be money? Could be. I don't know. Maybe he had an accident. Maybe he banged his head. Maybe he's just a grifter who knows that he can do well with this age-old blood libel and make money off of it. He could be that sinister. Maybe he believes his stuff, which would be the worst of it all, by the way. I know he was raised well. His father was a good guy, was a Reaganite, was a neocon, a Democrat who supported his country, who supported Israel. I remember when Qatar did. I remember when he was a neocon, writing for a neocon at the Weekly Standard. Now he's just a con. So now I've made it abundantly clear. Now how about all the others make it clear? Frauds, phonies, fools. Seems like everybody's on the take. Qatar's got its money everywhere, doesn't it, Mr. Producer? They've got their money everywhere. Everywhere. Talk about influencers. I feel like they own our country half the time. Oh, yes. Well, they're paying for its destruction through our colleges and universities. And now we've committed the United States military to ensure that that regime never falls. And that the Hamas leadership that's there is always immune and protected. How the hell did that happen? Then you look at the Democrats. They on the take? What happened to that party? They got awful lot of people there who are on the side of Hamas. What's that all about? Well, there's a lot of reasons, but it's also money. These little fiefdoms, these little fake royalties, fake countries, they're sitting on trillions of dollars of oil. All right, we've got other stuff. We'll be right back. It's the Power Hour. I'll see you in a minute.
from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Hello, America. Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811. 877-381-3811. You know, there are several fantastic conservative legal foundations. I was blessed to work for one, Landmark Legal Foundation. It's a great organization led by Pete Hutchison and his senior staff, Mike O'Neill, Matt Forays, and other young guns there. It's just a great group. There's another great group called America First Legal. You may have heard of it. Led by Eugene Hamilton, founded by Stephen Miller, and my wife is a senior counsel there, a senior counsel. She's a fantastic lawyer, better than I am, actually. And they're doing a lot of great things, too. Many. I wanted to bring one to your attention. America First Legal reveals explosive documents exposing the Biden Department of Justice partnership and coordination campaign with the Southern Poverty Law Center to weaponize civil rights enforcement. The Southern Poverty Law Center really came to be during the civil rights era. Now it's just a radical left-wing hack organization that goes after conservatives and people of faith. Today, America First Legal released explosive new documents obtained through the Freedom of Information Act request. Listen to this. And litigation showing how the Biden Department of Justice partnered with the Southern Poverty Law Center and gave the left-wing extremist group unprecedented access and influence over federal civil rights enforcement. Ready? This is how CARE is treated in these administrations, too. I hope somebody will dig in and find what CARE's role has been, including training DOJ prosecutors. This is what this radical extremist left-wing group did. Standing meetings with DOJ leadership, regular coffee and Danish meetings with top DOJ officials. Biden's DOJ not only offered the Southern Poverty Law Center a seat at the table, it handed over early access, ready, to FBI data, encouraged their participation at standing quarterly meetings, even invited the partisan extremist group to lead official trainings for federal officials. Now, this access included regular communication with the Department of Justice's Civil Rights Division, as well as with the Office of the Deputy Attorney General. That's that Lisa Monaco, radical left-wing kook. Dangerous, 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 dangerous. American First Legal has obtained thousands of pages of records of responsive documents to its requests. It's going to release additional findings as they go through them. Now, this was not a casual relationship. It was a deeply embedded partnership that put a discredited ideological smear factory best known for putting mainstream groups like Turning Point USA and Moms for Liberty on its hate map alongside the KKK and also Tony Perkins groups and other groups. At the heart of the Department of Justice civil rights agenda, Biden's DOJ handed over the training of its federal prosecutors to the radical extremist Southern Poverty Law Center, then cozied up to its staffers over coffee and Danishes. Coffee and Danishes. No bagels there, Mr. Producer. Very offensive. Now, emails further show that the Southern Poverty Law Center received early embargoed access to FBI hate crimes data. There's no way this is legal. Giving its staff the chance to draft talking points and coordinate with DOJ before the data ever went public. Kristen Clark. Boy, she was a radical kook. Radical kook! Then Assistant Attorney General with the Department of Justice Civil Rights Division even reached out to the Southern Poverty Law Center staff, wondering, quote, if there are federal civil rights matters of concern that we should be tracking. Is this not incredible, folks? This was an invitation from the Biden regime for radical outside groups to help shape priorities and drive the very civil rights agenda that federal prosecutors were then trained to enforce. The result was federal civil rights enforcement that looked less like equal justice and more like the Southern Poverty Law Center's hit list. Isn't it funny? The media don't talk about this. The Democrats don't. Oh, look, you're politicizing prosecutions of the Department of Justice. What about this? What about what? The partnership was institutionalized through quarterly DOJ Civil Rights Division meetings, where the Southern Poverty Law Center was a regular participant. I don't think this is legal. Agendas show the Southern Poverty Law Centers assigned speaking roles like training attendees on, quote, public education regarding hate crime data release. And schedules were even shifted around to accommodate top Biden officials, like then Associate Attorney General Vanita Gupta. These quarterly meetings also included other controversial radical kook groups like Rainbow Push, Color of Change, Human Rights Campaign, National Action Network. Oh, you know who that is, right, Rich? Sharpton. Southern Coalition for Social Justice, Law for Black Lives, and others. So basically, the Department of Justice was handed over to the radical kook left-wing Democrat Party-related groups. You're never going to get fair justice there. Now it's, oh, can you believe what Trump's doing with the Department of Justice? Look at these people. Now, DOJ leaders also participated in additional meetings with the group, the NAACP, the American Criminal Liberties Union, and others, and were trusted to provide guidance to DOJ on hate crime enforcement, voting rights, transgender issues, among other things. So here you have every conceivable radical left-wing Democrat Party-aligned group, including nonprofits, festering within the Department of Justice, taking control of the tools of the all-powerful Department of Justice. No wonder Trump never had a chance over there. No wonder. America First Legal previously uncovered documents showing that not long after the Department of Homeland Security's now debunked Homeland Intelligence Experts Group, Politburo, declared that most of the domestic terrorism threat in America comes from supporters of the former president. That would be Trump. So most of the domestic terrorism threat came from Trump supporters, you see. So say Biden supporters. The Biden regime was rife with this politicized, dangerous narrative that targeted half the country as extremists, not deserving the full protection of the Constitution. Excuse me, cholera. DOJ leaders also developed a close rapport with the Southern Poverty Law Center staff. Then Assistant AG Clark, again the radical, emailed the group expressing how much she was looking forward to visiting them on an official government trip to Montgomery, Alabama, which she also toured their headquarters. The DOJ staff described regular coffee and Danish. Back with the coffee and Danish. These people fat? Coffee and Danish and coffee and Danish. And it goes on. Coffee and Danish. Now I'm hungry, Mr. Producer. I'd like a Diet Coke and a hamburger. See, if I were running the Department of Justice and it was our turn, it would be coffee and Danish. It would be Diet Cokes and hamburgers. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
My book on power. I know it's been out for a few months. The holidays are coming. They're going to be here before you know it. It's already October. Can you imagine having a discussion about that book at Thanksgiving? How fantastic that would be, how you can spread the word. Can you imagine that book as a gift in Christmas and Hanukkah? It's so well discounted now at Amazon.com. I want to thank Barnes & Noble. I was in a Barnes & Noble, local Barnes & Noble, a couple of days ago, beautifully displayed. Several of the Costcos that sell books, Walmart, Books A Million, and so many others. Just fantastic. I want to thank you all. Well, I have a special treat for you. You know who he is. His name is Dinesh D'Souza, and the reason we're having Dinesh on the program is because he has something very exciting to tell you about, a brand new film, and you know his films are killer. And this one in particular is so, so important. And I saw Dinesh and his wonderful wife, and he and my wife, we spent some time together in Israel, in Jerusalem. Dinesh D'Souza, how are you, brother?
Hey, Mark, I'm doing great, and thanks for having me on.
No, it's a great pleasure. So we have a limited amount of time, so I want to make maximum use of it. So tell us about this fantastic, brand new film that you've created, where people can watch it, and why they should watch it.
The film is called The Dragon's Prophecy, and its theme is October 7th, Israel, Hamas, radical Islam, biblical archaeology, and a hint of biblical prophecy. So that's a pretty wide tapestry. The film begins with a very riveting account of October 7th. A lot of people haven't seen this footage. I've put it together in a powerful but tasteful way, and it puts you right on the scene. In fact, it puts you kind of on a motorcycle with a GoPro riding in with Hamas, because the footage was taken by Hamas. So the film draws you in immediately. But then it moves from October 7th to the larger significance of all this. And one of the things that we go into is the way in which the battle between Israel and Hamas is a startling recreation of ancient battles between the Israelites and their longtime enemies, the Philistines. Now, this biblical angle, if you will, a biblical point of view, I think greatly enriches our way of looking at all this, because it's not just that the name Philistine, Palestine is the same word, it's the same name carried through history. It's that the tactics of October 7th are identical to those used and described in the Bible 3,000 years ago. So if I can give an example, you have a biblical figure like Samson, who represents the strength of Israel, and Samson is taken captive by the Philistines. And he is blinded by the Philistines in much the same way that Israel was blinded on October 7th. He is dragged where? To Gaza. Gaza is in the Bible. And it says that the people of Gaza demanded that Samson be brought before them so that he could entertain them. And similarly, right after October 7th, hostages are stripped down to the waist, paraded in Gaza, and people are entertained. They're excited. They are shouting Allahu Akbar. And so we say in the film, I think a very arresting line, that Samson was the first hostage of Gaza. So this is the kind of thing you're going to get in this film. It covers politics. It covers Tucker Carlson. I take a question that Tucker Carlson posed to Ted Cruz, and I pose that exact same question to Netanyahu. I have Netanyahu dunking on Tucker. But at the same time, the film ascends above the political. It engages the spiritual, the biblical, and there's even a hint of biblical prophecy. Like, what does the Bible foretell about these momentous events we're living through?
What motivated you to do this? I mean, you really had to dig into ancient history. You really had to dig into the Bible. You really had to dig into October 7th. What motivated you?
So, Mark, Debbie and I, my wife and I, went to Israel for the first time at the end of 2022, and we discovered biblical archaeology. These remarkable inscriptions and seals, clay seals and stones coming out of the ground. And what they are doing is, for the first time in thousands of years, they are authenticating the historicity of the Hebrew and the Christian scriptures. You have all these key figures in the Bible, like Pontius Pilate in the New Testament, or in the Old Testament, you have the prophets Jeremiah or Isaiah or King David. And if you had someone had asked you to prove 30 years ago that King David existed, can you prove it not using the Bible? You would not be able to do it. So it's almost as if in recent years, as the world has become more secular, like God is speaking back through the stones. So I became very intrigued by this biblical archaeology. But after October 7th, I realized that this archaeology serves a double purpose. It doesn't just validate the Bible, it also demonstrates beyond a shadow of a doubt that the Jews are the original inhabitants of that land. And so think of how absurd it is to accuse the Jews of colonizing a land in which they were the original inhabitants. I mean, it's like accusing the Asian Indians of colonizing India when they've been there from the beginning. So I combined the biblical archaeology with the riveting footage of October 7th, and then I read Jonathan Cahn's book, The Dragon's Prophecy, and I realized he was introducing a kind of prophetic dimension here that was completely original. I'd never heard it. It transcends the debate between the left and the right. And so I imported all of that into this film. You asked about how you see it. There's a website, thedragonsprophecyfilm.com. It's in theaters on Monday and Wednesday of next week, so October 6th, October 8th. And then October 9th, it goes into streaming and DVD. So all tickets from the website.
All right, I don't want you to leave. This is way too compelling. We're going to come back with our friend Dinesh D'Souza. I cannot encourage you strongly enough to check out that site, to go watch this movie. And I understand that we want to get these theaters filled, but also at some point you can do it online. So I'm going to have Dinesh explain.
Mark the pen. The thunder on the right. Call in now. 877-381-3811.
You know, Dinesh D'Souza is a rare bird. He really is one of a kind. He makes these beautiful films, The Dragon's Prophecy. He goes back into the Bible, brings it up to today. I mean, really up to today. He interviews the Prime Minister Netanyahu, our ambassador Mike Huckabee. He goes through so much of the history, so much of the evidence of the history in the Bible, and of course talks about the horrors that took place. Let me ask you this, Dinesh D'Souza. What do you make of the horrendous anti-Semitism that has exploded all over the world, exploded in our country, exploded in our politics even? What do you make of that since October 7th and maybe earlier?
Mark, in my opinion, there is both a natural and a supernatural explanation, and you really need both. So the natural explanation is this, that anti-Semitism is often lumped in or studied together with racism, but they're actually quite different. In racism, I'm kind of up here, I'm looking down at you, and I've got this view that you are somehow debased or inferior. But in anti-Semitism, it's not like that. Jews are one of the most successful tribes or groups in world history. And so anti-Semitism involves a weird kind of looking up at the Jews, but looking up in such a nasty way as if to say that the Jews are successful not because they are smarter or they work harder or they're more entrepreneurial, but because they are more cunning, because they are more wicked, because they do things that we, the honest people, wouldn't do. So in my view, that is the natural explanation. It's deeply rooted in one of the worst of the human vices, which is envy. But I still don't think that gives a full explanation. So let me try the supernatural explanation on you, which goes more like this, and in fact ties in with the title of our film, The Dragon's Prophecy, because the dragon, an image out of the book of Revelation, is a reference to the devil, to Satan himself. And the basic idea here is that there is a spiritual war that has been raging since the beginning of time between God and the devil. Now, the devil cannot defeat God. He cannot dethrone God. So the devil picks the things that God cares about and tries to ruin those. Why did the devil pick on Adam and Eve? Genesis 1 in the Garden of Eden. Answer, it's because Adam and Eve represented God's cherished creation. They didn't do anything to the serpent, but the serpent goes, I'm going to ruin them, I'm going to destroy them, because that's how I get my revenge on God. The same thing can be said of the Jews. If the Jews are God's chosen people, if through the Jews the world got the Ten Commandments, Abraham and Isaac and Jacob, the Hebrew prophets, the law, the whole sense of morality, then Satan goes, I'm going to throw the Jews out of their ancestral homeland from the river to the sea. Not only that, I'm going to take their holiest site, the place where Solomon built his temple, the temple where Jesus was in after it was reconstructed, and I'm going to put an Islamic victory arch called the Dome of the Rock right on top of it, and an Al-Aqsa mosque right next to it. So, in other words, anti-Semitism here represents an attempt by the devil himself to take it out on the Jews as a form of his venom against God himself.
And do you see this in these so-called influencers and podcasters, the Carlsons, the Owens, and the people who make excuses for them? How do you see that?
Well, it's very awkward for me. I did a speaking tour last year with Tucker in Australia. Of course, none of this came up. It was perfectly cordial. I've spoken in the past for Candace at her Brexit events. But look, I'm not one of these people. I'm not taking the Megyn Kelly line, oh, these are my friends, I'm not going to say anything. I'm actually taking the opposite line, that I grew to like these guys and my affection developed on other grounds. And now they have chosen to take this kind of dark turn. I think what's particularly insidious is that what they're trying to do is reinvent Christian theology, separate the Hebrew scriptures from the Christian scriptures, even though they are adjoined in the Bible. There's a saying in Christianity, the New Testament is in the Old concealed, and the Old Testament is in the New revealed. And the basic idea here is that the Hebrew scriptures and the Christian cannot be extricated. And this whole idea that we have to somehow Jesus replace the Old Testament and that we can sort of leave all of that behind, when quite clearly Jesus represented himself as fulfilling or bringing to full fruition the Old Testament. So I think what's going on here is really an effort to not only pluck away the evangelical Christians and pull them away from Israel, but also to fracture the MAGA movement, I think, in a very destructive way, not just ideologically, but also generationally, in separating the older generation from the younger generation.
Absolutely brilliant analysis. I think you're right on all points, and you also have the guts to call out people by name. I do the same thing, and other people are just cowards. I think if you're going to speak out, you need to speak out now. Now, I want to get this straight. So when we send people to the dragonsprophecyfield.com, what will they see at that site?
When they go to the site, they will, first of all, they'll see that it's in theaters on 2 days. And all they have to do is put in their zip code, and boom, the theaters around them playing the film will pop up. You have to buy your tickets on the website. We have bought out these theaters, so you can't go to the theater and order tickets there. You have to get the tickets from the website. So the Dragons, plural, the dragonsprophecyfilm.com, that's how you get the theater tickets. You also see that it's next Thursday. It's opening for streaming and DVD. You can pre-order the streaming now. You can pre-order DVDs now, and you'll get them next week. So you can watch it however you want. I make these films in a very spectacular and cinematic way. I love it when people go in the theater. They're with like-minded people. It is quite common for my films at the end of the film for the whole theater to stand up and applaud. It's really just a very powerful feeling. But if you can't see it in the theater, you want to watch at home, no problem. Go to the website, thedragonsprophecyfilm.com.
I'll tell you what we're going to do if you're able. I'm going to make this decision myself, Mr. Producer. I'd like to have you back on Monday for a segment because the film comes out in the theaters on Monday and Wednesday. I'd like to have you back. This is such an important film, and it is so substantively unbelievable, folks. If you're available, we're going to work out the time, and you can come back if you'd like to. It's up to you.
I'd love to. Let's make it happen. I've got a lot more to talk about, and I'd be delighted to do it.
Yeah, no, you're a national treasure. You really dig into these things. Very, very important, Dinesh. And we want to thank you. Have a wonderful weekend, folks. Seriously, we are going to link to this on all my social sites. Check it out. I think you're going to really love this movie. Spread the word. The more, the merrier. You know, people need to get their Christianity back, their Judaism back. There's a lot going on in this country that is very destructive, very destructive. We need to push back. I don't know how you timed this film so perfectly, Dinesh D'Souza, but you did. And that's a wonderful thing. Maybe Hashem, maybe God did that too. My best to your beautiful wife too. God bless you, my friend.
Thank you. Talk to you Monday.
Talk to you Monday. So we'll work that out, right, Mr. Producer? Very, very important that we have our friend back. All right. I got to find it, Rich. What did I do with it? Sometimes when I get to the last one, it doesn't make it. Well, let's take a call while I'm looking here. Do we have time to do that? Yes or no? Let's go to Tony and Mont. You're awake tonight, or are you eating a steak sandwich? What are you doing? Nothing? Tony, Montreal, Canada, XM Satellite. Go right ahead, please.
How you doing,
Tony?
Mr. Levin? A pleasure to talk to you. How are you?
Thank you. Thank you. Very well, thank you.
I just want you're amazing, and I just want to say, Mark, the anti-Semitism that is worldwide, whether it's in England, United States, Canada. At one time, when I was much younger, it was frowned upon. No one in public office would make any statements. They would be condemned immediately, and they would be ostracized. But today you have the Olan Omars, and you have these insanity people like the mayor of Seattle, who advocates for violence and differentiates between brown and black people and white people. It's in the entire world, and the problem is that it's been formulated by this jihadist movement mixed in with the Hamas movement, where we are supposed to feel sorry for what Palestine is today, when Hamas did this to itself, created this vortex of revolution, and wants the white world or the United States, whatever you want to call it, to be on their side when they are themselves the terrorists who killed 1,400 people.
I got to go. You're very well spoken, and you're right on. And I regret that we don't allow the Israelis to put an end to this. I really do, because I fear it'll be back one day, agreements or no agreements. Should we break now, Rich? We'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Well, you have a lot of opportunities out there. You can acquire your copies of On Power. It's beautifully discounted at Amazon. It's available in all these stores. Barnes & Noble has a beautifully displayed Books A Million. I see it at the Hudson stores, at the airports, and elsewhere. I mean, it is available for you to grab. And these are perfect gifts to grab, put in your closet, and when the time comes to give them. I know your husband or your wife, I know your father or your mother, your grandfather, your grandmother, I know they're going to love this book, On Power. It's a compelling book, 7 weeks on the New York Times bestseller list, and there's a ton of competition. 7 weeks. And no less than Benjamin Netanyahu said it's the best book I've ever read. He's read them all. The vice president of Simon & Schuster, my publisher, said it was, in her view, the best book I've ever written. I certainly think it's one of the best, if not the best I've ever written. So it's so relevant to what takes place today, so important. And it's an easy read. So it's called On Power. I hope you'll grab it. If you're in the bookstores, you happen to be shopping, you see it, you can grab it there. Again, I don't know that it'll be available around Hanukkah and Christmas because they don't leave books on the shelves that long. So if it's something you want to do, I encourage you to do it now. It's well discounted. Also, 2 fantastic shows this weekend. Tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern. I'd ask you to set your DVR for Saturday and Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern on Fox, Life, Liberty, and Levin. We've got Senator Cruz, Mr. Conservative of the Senate, and we have one of the greatest speakers of the House ever, Newt Gingrich. So these will be very thoughtful, very interesting, very entertaining discussions. And I'm going to explain things about the so-called government shutdown that nobody else can or will, and so will Newt. And you're going to like some of the constitutional history that Ted gets into as well. And then Sunday, we have Mark Penn, who's a very honest Democrat, a moderate. He worked for Clinton. You'll see as we discuss the entire Democrat Party, how they would never nominate a John Kennedy, a Harry Truman. They would never do it. Or Bill Clinton. Not today. And the really one-of-a-kind Senator John Kennedy, first time on the program. So those 2 great Sunday shows. Set your DVR. I know you're going to love it. And We do that show. We think it's very, very special. And when you stop watching, we'll leave. We're up against the toughest competition in the business. We're up against Sunday Night Football. We're up against college football. The 8 o'clock hour is the brutal hour that you take them on. The other networks have their top shows. That's when they run them, 8 p.m., that hour, prime time. On the weekends, it's really 9 p.m. During the weekends, it's 8 p.m. That's the dirty little secret. And so we still duke it out. And we're very, very honored to have you. Very. All right. Every Friday in your honor. This is for you. Go. Folks, the week is officially over. The weekend begins right now. Don't forget to check out Life, Liberty, and Levin tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern. Set your DVR. We salute our armed forces, police officers, firefighters, emergency personnel, and our truckers. Men and women in Ukraine, and men and women in Israel, and you, the American people. Good night, Spritey and Griffey and Pepsi. Good night, Zelda and Smokey and Gigi and Indy. Good night, Patton and Rory and Marty and little Barney. We miss you all. Good night, Dad. Good night, Mom. It's a hell of a world. We're doing our best. Good night, Leo and Bernie, Teddy and Joe and Lou and all the other great patriots who've passed in my family and your family. Have a fantastic weekend. Grab your copy of On Power. Get it ready to hand out as a gift. I hope you will. In fact, check out Life, Liberty, and Levin, 8 p.m. tomorrow night Eastern Time. And we will see you tomorrow night.